theory in it all, man. Let's take a listen to Jimmy Haslam. Then we're going to move on to another story. That is Kevin Stefanski and his future. Let's listen to Jimmy, man.
Yeah, I think we've said consistently that this is a marathon, and it's not easy, and it's complicated due to its size, the public-private partnership. I'd say this is a significant hurdle to get by. We were always confident we'd work it out one way or another. It's a significant hurdle to get by, and we're very excited. And
the Cleveland Browns currently have one win on their record, and they got another tough bout going up this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Jimmy Haslam is hella mad. He is furious with Kevin Stefanski for not benching Joe Flacco. Now, we know Kevin Stefanski has been saying, we're going to make the time when the time is right to, with the quarterback decision. As of right now, Joe is going to be the guy.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. I'm not going to lie. When I watched that clip, it didn't feel like a football moment. It felt like a boardroom coup dressed up in team colors. You could see it in the body language. Jimmy Haslam smiling like a man who just signed the future, and Kevin Stefanski staring straight ahead like there's a fire alarm going off behind his eyes. That wasn't a quote about patience or process. That was the owner saying, I move pieces, everyone else reacts. And if you've followed this team long enough, you know exactly what that means. This season just got rewritten from the top down. People want to keep this about a depth chart, about who starts week X, who gets the headset, who runs a 2-minute. Nah, this is bigger, this is power. Stadiums don't get approved on handshakes and good vibes. They get approved with leverage, with buzz, with a narrative you can sell to a city that's been bruised by Sundays for years. And right now, the only narrative that sells in Cleveland is the rise of a star quarterback. The name, Shedeur Sanders. The hook, we were disrespected, now watch. That smile from Haslam wasn't casual. That's a man who understands how headlines move money. He knows what primetime wants. He knows what national shows will argue about for 15 straight minutes. A stadium is a bet on the next decade. You don't make that bet on boring. You make it on box office. You make it on a quarterback with gravity, someone who pulls cameras, clicks, win ticket sales into orbit just by taking a snap. And if you're the head coach, if you're Kevin Stefanski, your laminated play sheet suddenly weighs 30 pounds because every decision you make has an owner-sized shadow on it. Look at the timing. Look at the temperature. The Browns have been grinding through conservative football, leaning on defense, begging the offense not to break the dam. Meanwhile, the national conversation keeps asking one question. When does the kid play? That's oxygen for a stadium pitch. It's heat. It turns every press conference into a referendum on the future. You think that's accidental? You think we just wandered into the most talked about quarterback controversy of the year while $1 billion project got pushed across the line? Come on, I'm speaking as a fan here, not a suit. I felt it in my chest. That clip didn't say, steady as she goes. It screamed, we're flipping the table. And the table has names on it. Stefanski, Andrew Berry, the offensive staff, the veterans who want a sure thing versus the locker room voices who swear the kid's ceiling is already higher than the safe option. That's why the room looks tight, because everybody knows what this really is, a transfer of control. When an owner commits to an era, the football product becomes the commercial. You run the scheme that sells the seat. You play the quarterback that sells the era. And that's where Shedeur changes everything. He's not just a prospect, he's a storyline that writes itself. Doubted, benched, dragged, then unleashed. That arc prints money and fills Sundays. It gives the city a reason to stand in the cold and believe again. You can almost hear the season pivot in real time, from protect the lead to chase the moment, from don't lose to make them watch. So let me ask you, because this is the only question that matters now. Do you honestly think this was coincidence? Just messy timing and mixed messages? Or are we watching a chessboard where the owner just moved the queen and everyone else has to live with it? Let's be real. There's a reason every headline, every highlight reel, every social feed lights up the second Shedeur Sanders' name comes up. He isn't just another rookie quarterback thrown into a messy Brown situation. He's the son of Coach Prime, the kid who turned Jackson State into must-watch TV, the same player who dragged Colorado from irrelevance into the national spotlight. That's not hype. That's resume. That's proof. And Cleveland didn't draft him by accident. They knew exactly what they were getting: star power, attention, and a quarterback who carries himself like the future face of the league. But here's the twist. Instead of riding that wave, instead of building around the kid from day one, the Browns buried him. Third string, behind Joe Flacco, behind names that don't sell jerseys, don't move ratings, and don't have the NFL world buzzing. Fans saw it, analysts saw it, hell, even casual sports fans who couldn't care less about Cleveland football were asking the same question. Why is Shedeur Sanders holding a clipboard while the Browns trot out quarterbacks who look like yesterday's news? That disconnect, the gap between what the people want and what the organization did, is the story. It's frustrating, it's infuriating, and yet it's the exact reason the legend is growing. Because let's be honest, Shedeur's already bigger than the role they gave him. He's bigger than the depth chart. Jerseys with his name sold before he ever took a snap. Social clips of his warm-ups get more traction than actual Browns highlights. He's got the rare kind of gravity that quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, even early Patrick Mahomes had. When you just knew the league was leaning forward, waiting for their turn, he's already living in that space. And Cleveland, whether they admit it or not, is sitting on a gold mine. The fans feel it. The media feels it. And deep down, the locker room feels it too. This isn't just about potential. It's about inevitability. You can stall him. You can bench him. You can bury him on the depth chart. But you can't stop what he represents. The Browns didn't just draft a quarterback. They drafted a brand. They drafted a storyline the entire NFL is itching to watch unfold. And sooner or later, whether the front office likes it or not, Shedeur Sanders is going to step out of the shadows. When he does, he won't just change games. He'll change the franchise. And the real question hanging in the air right now is this: how long can Cleveland hold back the future before the future forces its way onto the field? Kevin Stefanski didn't just walk into a quarterback controversy. He walked into a trap. And the craziest part? Half the league sees it, but the guy standing in front of the microphones every week can't say a word about it. Think about the picture we've been watching unfold. Fans booing on Sundays, reporters peppering him with the same questions about Joe Flacco versus Shedeur, and Stefanski standing there, monotone, stone-faced, trying to hold the line. You can hear the frustration in his pauses. You can see the weight in his posture. This isn't just a coach struggling with decisions. It's a man being set up as the villain in a script that was written above his head. And the fans, they've already chosen their side. Every conservative play call, mocked. Every short third and long check down, torn apart on social media. The whole league is watching Cleveland drag its feet while the future sits on the bench, and Stefanski is the one absorbing all the anger. He's become the easy target, the out-of-touch coach who refuses to let the kids shine. But if you look deeper, if you connect the dots, it's hard not to wonder if he ever had control in the first place. Remember the Joe Flacco trade? That wasn't just a roster move, that was a fracture. Mike Tomlin, one of the most respected coaches in football, straight up questioned it on national television. He basically said it didn't make sense. That's not just commentary, that's a rival coach tipping his hat, letting everyone know that something inside the Browns organization is broken. And what did Stefanski do when he had the chance to defend his GM, Andrew Berry? Nothing. Silence. A coach refusing to back his front office. That's not strategy, that's survival mode. That's a man who knows he's already been cut out of the bigger plan. So here he is, walking a tightrope with no safety net. On one side, he sticks with veterans like Flacco, keeps running the same safe offense, and the narrative paints him as outdated, scared, and stubborn. On the other side, he gives in, unleashes Shedeur, and risks losing control of the locker room. Risks exposing himself as a guy who only moved when the owner forced his hand. Either way, the outcome looks the same. Stefanski wears the blame while Haslam cashes the win. And that's the part that burns. Because we've seen this before. Coaches turned into scapegoats while billion-dollar owners pull strings in the shadows. Stefanski's not dumb. He knows the whispers. He sees the cameras pan to Shedeur warming up. He hears the chants in the stands. But no matter what move he makes, it feels like the narrative is already locked in. He's the fall guy. So here's the question I can't shake, and maybe you can answer it better than me. Is Stefanski really running this team? Or has he just been another pawn in Haslam's master plan all along? Every great quarterback story has that one turning point. The moment when the world doubted them, when the critics piled on, when it looked like the dream was slipping away, and instead of breaking, they used it as fuel. That's exactly where Shedeur Sanders stands right now. The Browns disrespected him. They buried him on the depth chart. They made him watch from the sideline while veterans soaked up snaps. And instead of whining, instead of folding, Shedeur did what he's always done. He locked in. He turned that disrespect into fire. We've seen this before. Tom Brady sat behind Drew Bledsoe until one injury opened the door, and the rest became history. Kurt Warner bagged groceries before becoming a Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts was doubted at Alabama, pushed aside for Tua, and then came back stronger at Oklahoma before rewriting the script in Philadelphia. The pattern is always the same. They tell you, you're not ready, and then you prove you were born ready. That's the arc Shedeur is walking right now. Every snap he's been denied, every game he's been sidelined. It's adding weight to the spring that's about to launch. And if you look at his track record, you can't deny it. At Jackson State, people dismissed him as just Coach Prime's kid, a product of hype. What did he do? He broke records. He put that program on the national stage. Then he went to Colorado, one of the worst teams in college football. They had one win before he got there. One. And within weeks, Shedeur had them prime time. Literally. Sold-out games, ESPN Game Day, celebrities on the sideline. The whole country talking about Boulder, Colorado, like it was the center of the football universe. That wasn't by accident. That was Shedeur. That was his leadership, his poise, his playmaking under pressure. Now imagine that same energy unleashed in Cleveland. Not as the third stringer, not as a rumor, but as the starter with the ball in his hands and the city on his shoulders. Every pass he makes will carry the weight of months of disrespect. Every drive will feel like a statement. And that's when quarterbacks become dangerous. When they're not just playing to win, they're playing to prove the world wrong. That's why the benching, as painful as it looked, might have been the best thing that could have happened to him. Because when Shedeur finally steps on that field, he won't just be another rookie trying to figure it out. He'll be the underdog America rallies behind. The kid who was overlooked, doubted, disrespected, and then exploded. That's the story fans can't resist. That's the story that fills stadiums and sells jerseys and turns a city into believers. So here's the reality. Shedeur Sanders isn't just Cleveland's potential savior. He's sitting on the edge of becoming a national redemption story. The kind of story that transcends the Browns, transcends the AFC North, and becomes a moment for the entire league. And when that moment comes, when the kid they tried to hide finally gets unleashed, it won't just be Cleveland watching. It'll be the whole NFL. The only question left is, are we days away, weeks away, or is the organization still crazy enough to try and hold back the storm? This right here is where the story shifts from rumor to legacy. Jimmy Haslam didn't just roll the dice on a rookie quarterback. He put the future of the Cleveland Browns, the future of his franchise, and the weight of a billion-dollar stadium deal on Shedeur Sanders' shoulders. Think about that. You're not just talking about who gets the first team reps in practice. You're talking about the very survival of Browns football as something people want to invest in, care about, and show up for. That's not small. That's not routine. That's an all-in bet. And depending on how this plays out, Haslam will either look like the most ruthless genius in NFL ownership or the man who gambled away Cleveland's best chance at relevance in a generation. The genius side of this is easy to see. You create buzz, you generate drama, you make Shedeur the most talked about rookie in football. You don't just get Cleveland fans engaged, you get the entire league talking about the Browns in October, November, and December, when usually they're forgotten by week 6. That's ticket sales. That's primetime games. That's a fan base that actually believes again. And in the middle of all of it, you have a new stadium rising up with Shedeur's name plastered across it like a banner of hope. If that's the master plan, then yeah, it's bold, it's cold, but it's brilliant. But let's not sugarcoat it. This could go the other way. If Shedeur isn't ready, if the offensive line crumbles, if the locker room turns toxic because the veterans feel like pawns in an owner's game, then it blows up fast. Stefanski could be gone before Christmas. Andrew Berry could follow him out the door. And Shedeur? He'd be left carrying a franchise that built him up as a savior before he even had the chance to settle into the NFL grind. That's the danger in all of this. Haslam isn't just betting on talent, he's betting on timing. And the wrong timing ruins even the best players. We've seen it. We've seen rookies with promise get thrown into chaos and never recover. So where does that leave us? Right here at the crossroads. Because Cleveland doesn't just need wins. Wins alone won't justify a billion-dollar stadium. Wins alone won't heal decades of scars. What this city needs is a hero, a face, a reason to believe that Sundays mean something again. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is the only man who can deliver it. That's the truth. The hype, the frustration, the chess moves, it all funnels down to this one reality. When Shedeur takes the field, he's not just playing for a starting job. He's playing for the identity of a franchise, for the pride of a city, and for the future of an owner's legacy. So here's my prediction, and I don't make this lightly. When Shedeur Sanders finally gets his shot, Cleveland won't just be watching, the entire NFL will. Because whether this ends in triumph or disaster, one thing is certain. This is the biggest gamble in Browns history, and it's about to pay off one way or another.